Presidential decrees start a ministerial shuffle in Syria, changing 7 ministers and establishing a new ministry for social affairs. Turkey says Russia will confront any attempt by the Syrian opposition to delegate envoys to the UN. Syrian army units advance in Hama countryside and more weapons are seized. Safita commemorates assassinated Syrian TV cameraman Haidar al-Smoudi, marking 40 days after his death. And Syrian expatriates in Sweden discuss the question of national dialogue and their role in it. Good afternoon, this is the news from the Syrian Arab television in Damascus. President Bashar al-Assad issues decree number 15 establishing 2 ministries. The first is the Ministry of Social Affairs and the second is the Ministry of Labor. President Assad also issued legislative decrees number 61 for 2013, naming Engineer Hussein Ferzat as Minister of Housing and Construction Development, Engineer Hussein Arnous as Minister of Public Works, Dr. Hassan Yazaji as Minister of Labor, Engineer Ahmed Al-Qadri as Minister of Agriculture and Agrarian Reform, Engineer Sulaiman Al-Abbas as Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, Dr. Ismail as Finance Minister and Dr. Kinda Shammat as Minister of Social Affairs. In unrelated context, Russia's permanent representative at the UN, Vitaly Churkin, warned against any unilateral action by the Syrian opposition because it would harm the serious work underway regarding preparations for the political process, asserting that Russia would stand in the face of any attempt by the opposition to dispatch representatives to the UN. Commenting on opening up offices for Doha opposition in New York, Churkin said that talk about getting benefit of opening these offices as they are close to the UN's headquarters with the aim of scoring political points is utterly rejected from an international perspective, concluding that his country would stand firm against such attempts. Minister of Information Omran Zobi stresses that regional countries' commitment to stopping the smuggling of weapons and gunmen to Syria would help ensure the success of the political program and resolve the crisis in Syria. More of Zobi's statements in the following.
Information Minister Omran al-Zobi affirmed that the basic and final goal of the state is to restore security and stability, as well as going towards a more stable pattern which keeps up with the political pluralism as a true and serious concept. In an interview with the Syrian TV, al-Zobi said that regional countries' commitment to stopping the smuggling of weapons and gunmen to Syria would help ensure the success of the political program to resolve the crisis in Syria, and that the program would proceed as planned even if these countries don't commit to this. Minister of Information stressed that regional security is a singular and whole concept, and that if chaos spreads in the region, then no one will be safe from it. al-Zobi said that there's not a single area in Syria where it's difficult to deliver relief, and that through the Syrian Arab Red Cross and the Higher Committee for Relief, the state is capable of delivering aid to the furthest point and to the people who need it, affirming that any talk to the contrary of this seeks to steal aid and politicize it. al-Zobi said that dialogue in the preliminary stage must cover the widest possible spectrum of Syrians, stressing that Syria is heading towards a national dialogue conference and there's no turning back from that, voicing readiness to invite everyone, including coordinators and those who abandon weapons, to engage in dialogue and affirming that none of those who respond to this national call will be harmed.
Members of the Syrian community in Sweden discussed the question of the Syrian national dialogue and the role of expatriates in making it a success. The participants affirmed keenness to play an effective role in this dialogue to restore security and stability to their country, Syria. They also stressed the necessity of halting all forms of foreign interference in Syria's internal affairs, expressing condemnation of the criminal acts carried out by the mercenary terrorists against the Syrian people. in the presence of officials, religious figures and public participation. A tribute ceremony was held marking 40 days after the assassination of cameraman Haidar Smoudi at the hands of an armed terrorist group. A closer look in the following.
The memorial of the journalist Haidar al-Smoudi was held in the cultural center of Safita after 40 days of his martyrdom. This memorial ceremony was attended by religious, popular and official people. They all stressed that Syria will stay as the beating heart of the Arab world.
We salute the spirit of Haidar Smoudi, as we all know that martyrs are immortal, and the martyrdom is the only power that can protect our country against the enemies. Thank God for making my father a martyr for the homeland's sake. You have always been the shining sun of me, as you gave your soul for the dignity of our homeland. Undoubtedly, all the martyrs, and Haidar Smoudi is one of them, have gone in order to make our life more beautiful.
They were honest with what they promised, sacrificing their blood and everything for their beloved homeland, Syria.
A military source said that a unit of the Syrian Arab Armed Forces confronted an armed terrorist group that attempted to attack a military post in Kafr Nasij, Damascus countryside, inflicting heavy losses upon the attackers. The source added that several terrorists were killed and many others were wounded, while their cars loaded with weapons and ammunition were destroyed. A unit from the Syrian Arab Army attacked terrorist groups affiliated to al-Nusra Front in Kirnaz village to the north of Hama countryside. A factory for making explosive devices was found in the area. The engineering units also dismantled a number of explosive devices planted by terrorist groups on the roads leading to the village. In a related context and in Hasake, security forces seized a Hyundai pickup truck on al-Hasake-Qamishli highway loaded with machine guns. The two men inside the car were arrested. Russia's permanent representative at NATO, Alexander Groshko, said that deploying Patriot missiles in Turkey upon its request contradicts the logic of finding solution to the crisis in Syria. Groshko pointed out that Moscow nevertheless takes into consideration statements made by NATO senior commanders that there was no intention to establish a no-fly zone or human passages behind deploying the missiles. Groshko added that these missile systems would have no effect on Syria's airspace, voicing hope that pledges given would be unconditionally met. The Russian official concluded by saying that deploying Patriot missiles in Turkey is a step towards internationalizing the crisis in Syria, pointing out that Moscow does not rule out the possibility of more involvement by NATO in the Syrian crisis. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said that Washington is considering diplomatic steps to deal with the situation in Syria. In his first press statement since assuming his post, Agence France Presse quoted Kerry as saying that Washington is making an assessment of the situation to decide on what steps to take, diplomatic particularly to reduce violence and to deal with the situation in the country. He added that there is too much killing and too much violence, and the U.S. wants to find a way forward, because it is a very complicated and dangerous situation.
We have the same entrepreneurial spirit.
In new evidence of foreign countries' involvement in the events in Syria, Dutch General Intelligence and Security Service Chief Rob Peterholle warned that scores of Dutch nationals are fighting alongside the gunmen in Syria and could return home after turning into fundamentalists. Abe quoted Peterholle as saying in a statement that the number of Dutch nationals heading to Syria is growing fast, adding he is concerned about their return to their country after fighting alongside the radical Islamic extremists in Syria. With this, we reach the end. With more details on our website www.syriaonline.sy. After the break, difficulties facing industrial establishments and steps to overcome the cement shortage with Vani in Economic News.
good afternoon. The administrative board at the industrial city in Sheikh Najjar in Aleppo discusses a number of issues with industrialists and their objection regarding the decisions taken by the city's council, denying them the right of ownership of some real estates.
The administrative board of the industrial city of Sheikh Najjar in Aleppo discussed the situation of the investment planning and facilities in the industrial city, in addition to setting future plans and implementing them for the benefit of the manufacturers in these circumstances.
All the participants have agreed that the plans were not implemented properly.
The participants also discussed many issues concerning the manufacturers, such as postponing payments to suit the payment system for the manufacturers' circumstances, also granting them bonuses and exemptions to encourage them for the industrial and investing work in Aleppo.
تأخير السادة الصناعيين وفق الظروف اللي عم نعيشها يعني وفق الظروف الراهنة.
Delaying the manufacturers due to the current circumstances, they have been given another chance, so the decision was stopped because there are many procedures concerning the investment system, which we and the manufacturers may agree with.
During this meeting, a number of procedures was made to stimulate work in the industrial city.
There were 15 items on the agenda. Some of these items were delayed, such as the investment of some lands that were postponed to the coming days. Also, some of the real demands by the manufacturers, such as investing in the basements of the facilities. So, we should allow the people to invest these facilities. Also, the most important issue was the issue of the electricity. We told the manager of the electricity, who was present at the meeting, to return the electricity back immediately and to list the debates of the manufacturers due to the living conditions of the facilities in general.
The project director of the Livestock Development Department at the Ministry of Agriculture clarified that the modern technology is based on the introduction of planting small shrubs in the fields. These areas will be cultivated with barley and flour, as the plan will also focus on achieving a stable agriculture. The practical benefit of this technique is securing fodder without any additional impacts on the barley crops. It will also provide green fodder from other sources during the grazing season, and it will reduce feed costs. The ministry also intends to develop the herds by developing the fodder. The branch manager of the military housing establishment in Sueda Governorate, Engineer Amir Abu Zain al-Din, affirmed that the branch still manufactures cement for the projects and for the local market in the governorate. It has helped during the past months in providing the local market with cement with good quality and reasonable prices. This helped the projects to continue at the workshops because this has limited the cement price increase. The manager of Umran establishment in Latakia Governorate stressed that the establishment concentrates on selling cement, as this material is being delivered to all the governorate's sectors, adding that the direct sales is 5 tons, noting that the revenues of the Umran establishment branches were more than 196 million Syrian pounds of cement sales and other construction materials last year, and the profits exceeded 13 million Syrian pounds. Oil ended the week slightly low after expectations that the crude stocks are going to go up, which led to increasing the difference between the American crude price and the Brent price. And now over to the exchange rates according to the bulletin of the Central Bank of Syria. With this we conclude our news. Thank you for watching and goodbye.